the gun. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Night Live.
Hello, good evening, afternoon, and good morning, depending on where you're at. You found us ruining Harry Potter for Pat. Yeah! And me being wanted at the shop. The shop being the Missing Elements here in Lexington, Kentucky, East New Circle Road. and we are 110% at 11. I'm not going to lie. I needed this in my life and didn't realize I did. So, Pat is drinking just to show everybody the bottle. Showing everybody the bottle. Yep.
Here, hold on a second. Let's zoom in.
Yep.
Anybody else want a cup? We are not endorsed by Smirnoff.
We are not endorsed.
We are not.
We are not endorsed.
Anybody else want a cup? I mean, if they feel like it.
Hey, Smirnoff, just
if you feel like it,
you could.
We wouldn't turn it down.
Jesus God.
That was a lot. Oh, so it's not. Okay. It just sounded like a lot.
Oh, okay. Oh. So all jokes aside, the drinking actually has just started. But we legit did ruin Harry Potter in multiple different ways, and are probably going to continue to do so.
Oh yeah. Oh, are you making alcoholic tea?
No, but Tyree.
I wouldn't. That's just an awful idea. Anyway,
so awful idea out the fucking window tonight.
So we're at the Missing Elements again, 1018 East New Circle Road here in Lexington, Kentucky. You can GPS it. It is the Missing Elements with an S, and it takes you around back to our storefront. This weekend and next weekend, we are going to be hosting Miss Joanna Dickey, starting at 12:30 and going to 1:30, doing introduction to shamanism and Germanic. Wow, Germanic journeys.
Germanic. Harry was a Nazi.
We don't say that word around here, sir.
I apologize.
Anyway, so wow. So we are going to be hosting Miss Joanna Dickey. She's going to be doing intro to shamanism, as well as doing a journey drum circle. If you're interested, all you have to do is show up. It is for donation, and that is taken up after the fact. So if you would like to come and be a part of that, please do so. Part of the mechanics crew is going to be showing up to Mama Ruby's event, the Full Moon Sisters Bazaar, the 28th and 29th. So we're going to be in Bowling Green, hanging out with Mama Bev and Papa Jim, and doing what it is that we do out in that neck of the woods. So if you're in the Western Kentucky area, Tennessee, Indiana, those kinds of states, you can catch us there in Bowling Green coming up in a couple weeks. Also, Mr. Tyree here, Stevens Healing Vibrations, is going to be at the Central Kentucky Mystical Market that same weekend. So you're going to have him there having his own booth, and you also get to double dip because he is also a mechanics presence. So if you need to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of him here. And we suggest going by and saying hi and getting your chakras dead. Coming up, we are going to get the schedule out for you guys. We are currently working on getting class outlines done. As soon as we do, we will have the schedule for the 300 series classes, which are going to start sometime this month. Dates to come as soon as we have them. But for those that don't know, our 100 series classes are about connectivity and base metaphysics. 200 series classes are the intermediate stuff. So how to use that. 300 classes are specialized. So they are individual classes, so one-offs, that are taught by either specific mechanics or people who we have vetted that are either experts in their field, top researchers, or have been doing what it is that they do long enough to be classified as one of those two. So you get expert opinions, expert advice, and expert teaching from an actual expert. Those are coming up. And I think other than the last bit of big news, our last big event of the year that I know about is Scarefest. Scarefest is coming up October 18th through the 20th. And this one looks to be the biggest one that they've had. There's over 100 celebrities this year.
Jesus.
Plus the vendor section, artist section, tattoo artist section, multiple photo opportunities with both actors and actresses, as well as different movie props, including Christine, the car. So, different kinds of official movie licensed props, different things like that are going to be there as well. It's going to be a huge year. Matthew Lillard is coming back, as well as Mr. Clive Barker. And this is,
That's going to be so cool.
it's a big deal. So this is going to be, I am too. This is going to be one of the last times that you can actually catch Mr. Clive Barker in person. He is rumored to be going into hiding and doing writing on his new project. So that being the case, he's not going to be around doing conventions like this for a little bit. So this will be one of your last opportunities to meet the man in person until his next project is fleshed out. So come out, do the thing. Scarefest Television. If you are interested in knowing who's going to be there and what's going on at Scarefest, you probably ought to check it out. Tomorrow night and every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, you're on Facebook. You can go to scarefestradio.com, and Wes Forsyth and a host of other hosts get on there. They talk about celebrity announcements, different events, different engagements, and you can catch it every single Friday. I think that's about it. I think so. We have been, no, it's not. We've been on a couple of podcasts this week, both of which have been streamed to our Facebook. So you guys can check that out if you are interested. Paranormal Happy Hour and Vibe Time, both of which were very awesome shows. We're very grateful for it. And we are going to be doing a recording of one on Sunday. So be looking for that. We're going to have that one up as soon as the host has it available for us to share.
I believe that's it.
Gotta fuck a hope. I think so.
Golf
Hi,
claps
everybody
on.
that popped in and said hi and shared out. Thanks, guys. And Linda was like, what did y'all do?
We were under perception of Harry
Like she's
Potter.
really drinking. What'd you all do to her?
We literally ruined her perception of Harry Potter.
It's my favorite, guys. It's my fucking
We just-
favorite.
We just, no, Ethan asked her a question.
It kind of snowballed. You don't get me and Ethan in the same room together and expect it to go well. There's inevitably going to be something that is completely ruined for somebody. Speaking of
Master
which,
gave Dobby a sock.
Jesus.
Oh, that's a
So we're talking about famous ghosts tonight. Now, this is a huge and broad topic. So it's going to cover a couple of different things. In the comments, if you guys want to talk about your all's favorite famous ghost, your famous personality or founding father or famous, ghost that you've heard about in a location, feel free. If we know about it, we'll talk about it with you. If we don't, we'll all learn something new. But this is going to be a wide, varying kind of night because famous ghosts is kind of broad. So we're going to be talking about everything from urban legend and actual famous ghosts, as far as people who have lived and still haunt locations, to some famous literary ghosts, or literature that's been based off of experiences of those that have passed on. So we've got a wide range of shit to go over, and hopefully you guys will find some of this kind of interesting or fun. So we're going to start with Tyree.
Yeah. Thanks. Start with Tyree.
You're welcome.
It's okay. I was going to potentially talk about the ghost in Harry Potter, but fuck me, I'm not now.
Why not?
I mean, you could.
You could
You could. Feel free.
start with Lord V himself.
No, I'm good.
Albus Dumbledore stuck him in a sock drawer.
Nearly headless
That's
Nick.
what you're
Actually
obvious.
goes along. Oh,
Thanks for sharing us out, Keith. Hi, Shelly. Thanks for sharing us out, Terry.
Thanks, guys, very much.
Yar.
So I guess we're starting with me.
Yep.
Because I'm the one who was dumb enough to keep mentioning the only famous ghost I know is the Headless Horseman. Until then somebody said researching.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, he is interesting. He's an asshole, but he's interesting. But like here in the United States, the folklore here is that he is a Hessian soldier working with the British to help overthrow us in the that's what brain
Revolutionary
dead.
War.
Yeah, Revolutionary
was
War.
the War of 1812.
Revolutionary.
Okay.
And it starts out that he's in the Battle of White Plains, in which I actually looked that up because I didn't know that battle existed, and it does. And he loses his head from a cannonball. And his comrades pick the body up, carry his body off the battlefield, but leave his head laying there. And they bury him in a Dutch church in Sleepy Hollow. And in our version of the story, the reason he holds a pumpkin, flaming pumpkin in his hand is because it supposedly happened a couple of days right before Halloween.
That's such a shitty reason.
It really is.
Hence, pumpkin.
Got to represent your boy.
Tyree was feeling festive.
It was.
Hey, why not?
But in doing my research, there are headless horsemen all over. I even found a story of a headless horseman in Texas that somebody from Texas didn't bother to tell me he existed.
Down, 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 down.
I'm
It's a
just
German
sitting-
story too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
energy drink. That's what it is.
I mean, there's two here if you want them.
No, she makes it with her vodka.
Godspeed.
But what is really cool about this guy is that technically he is a Scottish,
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
yes, he is a Scottish mythological being.
Yep, Dullahan.
In which Steve informed me that he was an actual human at one point in time. I didn't catch that in my.
Yep, he was an actual dude at one point in time, but
That was
that was years and years
like
ago. Years ago.
hundreds of years ago.
Yep.
Like several hundred years ago.
But like with this that version of the story, he's either riding a black steed or he's driving a carriage.
Yep.
And he holds his head out because the eyes have supervision. so they can see like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles ahead of where he's at. The big thing is, if you see this guy, you're dead. No questions asked.
It's actually a really cool fucking story. As far as an entity, a Dullahan is actually a really cool entity too.
So is it kind of like Medusa, where like you see the eyes and you know you're stone?
Usually he's come to collect.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yup. And the person that sees him dies of a horrific death.
But like,
So
if
it's
you
more, it's more like an omen type deal.
Yep.
okay.
You see him, and then within a short amount of time,
It-
natural causes will cause you to die.
in a lot of cases, it's natural causes could be seen as that, but it's usually odd accidents that wind up in decapitation.
Oh,
So a heart attack could happen, but you could fall and, you know,
Catch your neck on something.
yep,
that's kind of cool.
it's a wild fucking entity.
yeah, they were comparing him to the Banshee.
Okay, yeah, technically, yeah.
In which the Banshee is a warning that somebody's going to die.
Yep.
He is a warning that you're dead.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you gonna die?
It's not a possibility or, you know, an actual warning. Like Ethan said, it's an omen. You know, this person is dead. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Well, I guess fuck me. You know, you see him just and him point at you like, hey, oh, bitch. And, you know, it's like, well, I better get my affairs in order.
Yep.
Cross between a banshee and a nightmare.
Literally, actually.
Yeah.
He is the Dullahan was actually, and this is looped in with my particular brand of paranormal / metaphysics and a little bit of Ethan's, but the Dullahan is an entity based off of a nightmare actually getting a writer. Dullahan himself was the first.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And for the class.
So, for the class, what a nightmare is exactly what it sounds like. It isn't talking about the bad dream. It is a night, as in pitch black of darkness, mare, as in horse. It is a demonic horse that has its own intentions, its own abilities, its own means, and the whole point of it is it acts just like a Kelpie, only instead of like with a Kelpie drawing children to water, the nightmare will literally kill someone so that it can have a rider. It will steal their soul so that it can ride it forever. While a nightmare has its rider, that rider is 110% under its control and will do exactly as told until it's removed from its back. And the only way that you can remove a rider from a nightmare's back is when it literally depletes it. The nightmare drains it of its last bit of life force, and the person ceases to exist. Notice how I put that.
That's awful.
They are heinous creatures. And that's the reason why Dullahan is considered to be the first rider, is to this day, at least according to lore and legend, like Tyree was talking about, to this day in Scotland, he still rides. He is considered one of the oldest riders, if not the first one. So he was kind of a dick in life and kind of got what he deserved. And then, unfortunately, got a lot more than what he deserved when the nightmare found him before he could cross. And became something completely inhuman as a result.
Sad.
Yep.
Very.
But the really cool part about this story is the fact that if you try to escape him, his head shoots acid at you.
Eats through your legs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then he also has a whip that's made of human spine.
It's metal as fuck, y'all. Like,
That's really fucking cool.
yeah, he literally has because that's the whole point. Bone whip.
Which how?
After he melts the person down, he removes the skull and the spine, puts the skull on his head, and has something to actually drive the nightmare.
Oh.
Mhm.
Once the skull breaks down, he finds another one. And that's where the whole headless horseman with the blade comes in American folklore.
Is instead of the bone whip, they have a blade to take the head off with.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure the one in American folklore just doesn't have a head.
No,
Like
not
it's got the flaming pumpkin.
It's got the flaming. What happened was his head was smashed into so many pieces that his comrades just left it laying on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was
so
nothing
yeah.
to pick up.
So like in the one in American folklore doesn't hold up his own
No.
head.
No. Whereas the other one does.
European?
Scottish.
Scottish. Yep. Yeah, the original is Scottish folklore. That's the Dullahan. And then it just kind of evolved. Different cultures and different people adopted the story and changed it to what they saw as scary or what it is that the culture would accept. And that's where you get the Legends of Sleepy Hollow.
Mhm.
You know, the Ichabod Crane story. So it's a fun one. That one's a fun one. We got any comments on that?
Jeepers. And
Horse be like, dude, take a cab.
mm-mm-mm.
Oh, but there is one way that you can get away from him for like a small bit of time. Hand him a gold coin.
Pay the man.
Yeah. Just like the ferryman.
Can you reach the moose?
The moose.
Right there?
Moose. The mooshy moosh.
Thank you. That way we can see comments.
And while I'm over here, I'll pick up somebody's fork that they threw on the floor.
Thank you.
You know, just disrespectful. Fuck.
I believe that's the only thing we got.
I got you. So, I mean,
Keith shared us out, but he's got some stuff going.
fair enough.
Terry literally just studied that war in history. Yay.
Mhm.
Fuck yeah.
And hello from Orlando, Florida.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
JROF Chicago
Oh,
from Orlando, Florida.
hey, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
So what else we got? What else we got on the Horsemen, or is that what we got?
I think that's all we got because there's too many headless horsemen to actually.
Yeah.
I'd still be deep diving into it.
I want to say the Scottish is from like 500 years ago. Or
It's-
something like that.
It's something ridiculous.
And
yeah, it was-
then
it was from
over
ways back.
over that, it's been adopted into so many different cultures, but each one has a similar yet different story.
Yeah. Tracy said I dig a good ghost story as long as it doesn't involve clowns. And Lisa said that's always one of my favorite stories.
Oh yeah,
It's a cool story.
yeah. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is a fun one.
We're doing just famous ghosts from folklore, from
A couple of specific
Yeah.
places, but it's mostly just
in-
kind of a brief overview because it's a pretty in-depth topic.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot that we could do that we're not going to have time to do.
that,
Yeah, so we're just kind of picking a couple of good ones.
Our personal favorites, if you have one that you would like to share that you find particularly interesting, we'll go in on that one. We'll do a quick little dive into what we can find, or if we know it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Patricia,
yeah.
what you got?
I'm not doing the fucking Hogwarts
Yeah.
ghosts anymore.
I mean, you could.
No, thank you.
You
No,
could.
thank you.
The only story I'm familiar with is a local guy. I don't know if y'all know of David Shealy.
I do not.
No.
Oh, that's awesome. I've
Nice.
been learning about folklore of their Nordic ancestors.
Oh, good.
Cool.
So I'll kind of briefly touch on a set of ghosts because they pop up a lot in literature, obviously, and in several different versions of movies. But the Christmas Carol ghosts, so the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. I think that those are pretty cool because it's literally the same thing. It's death, but different aspects of death, so that you can literally see the different parts of what happens when you cross the veil. I think that's super freaking cool because it's a chance for Scrooge to literally turn his life around and claim it back before he has to go through all of the gates. And I think that's neat as fuck.
So when thinking about that, would you consider them different spirits or would you consider them aspects of him?
I would consider them aspects of him in this case, just because it's the memories from that specific time frame. So as far as Christmas past, it brings up specific memories that he buried because they were happy and he didn't want to focus on them because his goals were changed and it was far more greed centered. As far as Christmas present, it's the same thing, but the greed has taken far more of a hold. So I think that it's kind of an interesting take on how to get around your own addictions and keep yourself from falling too far into a hole that you literally can't come back from.
What was the original spirit in that one? Because we have the Christmas ghosts. It was Jacob Marley.
Yep.
So thinking about A Christmas Carol, Jacob Marley was probably one of my favorites out of that entire story because he is the one that triggered that response. The fear of seeing someone that Scrooge knew and mildly but still respected coming back and shaking chains and causing ruckus and in his face that you did this to me. And this is how you will perceive life because you did this to me. This is your penance. This is your one last chance to change. And the interesting thing about that too is and you're going to notice that tonight there's going to be a theme. If you think about it, it's the same thing as the Headless Horseman. It's an omen. It's a
Fix your shit before you're fucked.
literally, it's a warning. And here's this, revenant that's showing up, pointing, you're going to fix this or you are going to die. By the end of the night, you will die. And in some version of the stories, that's exactly what is stated. By the end of the night, you will die. And he's talking about what Pat was talking about, which was literally the death of his own ego. You are going to change, and the you that you are right now is going to die. Or I'm going to take you with me. And that's what makes that one really fucking actually scary
Yep.
when you really think about it. Because it's an uplifting movie until you start to think about that in that sense.
A lot of him had to die, and a lot of him did die so he could make better choices moving forward. But ego death is something that you go through consistently. So it was a kind of a massive buildup of that, and then all of a sudden, boom, slam. Well, we're going through all of this to make sure that you actually understand what could happen because either you're, like Steve said, you're going with me, or this part of you is going with me.
Mhm.
It was either, feel the guilt and then have remorse, or continue to ignore the guilt and you'll drive yourself into an early grave.
Literally. Because that was one of the theories of the story, is that Scrooge actually died. And that's the reason why he was seeing Marley. That's the reason why he was being intervened. People were intervening, was they were actual angels.
Trying to get him to feel remorse.
And when he did, and he repented, he was given his life back. It's a theory, but it's one that's completely unproven. But yeah, I thought that part of it was kind of neat too, actually.
One of my favorite depictions of the book itself is actually one that's on Hulu every year for Christmas. It's extremely dark and it's super brutal to watch, but it's kind of an interesting take on how trauma can evolve into different types of ego. And one of the things that the ghosts in that specific Hulu rendition do is take him back to those moments. So I think it's really interesting to see what could happen if you let your ego get that out of control and don't address the things that caused you trauma.
100%. Yeah. Raymond,
Yo,
what you got?
well, do we want to go folklore, or do you want me to go of known people that have been seen? Because I can do a bit of both.
Doesn't matter.
Let's start with local. Tracy was talking about a gentleman in the comments there, David Shealy, who actually
allegedly
killed his wife, turned out to be innocent, was hung. They see him walking around Cynthiana all the time. I'm going toward Bardstown and the Talbot Tavern, where they have been known to see Jesse James.
Yeah. I mean, he's made more than his fair appearance around multiple spots in Kentucky. And Jesse was a weird one, because he rambled, he walked. So there's a number of spots that are along a specific trail, and you can actually look the actual map up of places someone actually connected the dots, but there's places literally in a travel line where he has actually come and gone, and he follows the same path like clockwork. So I think that's kind of cool.
So then question, would that make him an echo, or would that actually be?
And that hasn't been proven yet, actually, because there's a couple of paranormal investigators and paranormal societies or teams that have tried to figure that out, whether he was a quote unquote residual haunting, which I do prefer Wes Forsythe's version of an echo. We adopted that one. But, an echo, or if he's actually sentient, because supposedly they have gotten some responses with EVP, with Spirit Box, intelligent responses with different things like cat balls and K2s and stuff like that. When asking him questions there on the spot. But that could be literally anything that's around there trying to answer those questions if they're just open-ended. So it's kind of hard to say, but I think it'd be kind of cool to kind of get that figured out.
I'd be down if they'd let us in.
The worst places to actually try and figure that out would be places that would be frequented, like a tavern or a place he would stay, because that's some of the, if it is an echo, some of the echo might be responding to conversation. And that would make it really hard in those places.
That's the reason why it's not really proven that he is an open entity, or if he's an echo. He's still a famous ghost because an echo is still it's still a haunting. It's still a ghostly presence.
Mhm.
But can't tell if he's just there or if he's actually interacting. No one's been able to prove it yet.
I thought I heard that somebody actually got a picture of him.
That's cool.
And
I know they share one on Talbot Tavern's website.
Well,
Mhm.
I mean, if it's an echo, it still might be able to be caught in a picture.
True.
Yeah.
And yeah, 100%, Raymond. I would really love to actually try and see if we could get that worked out. If for no other reason than to try our own hand at figuring out whether or not it's the real Jesse James or if it's an echo of Jesse James.
Or if it's another spirit masquerading as Jesse James because it gets them a lot of
Attention.
attention.
I mean, all of the above
Yeah.
are possible, to be honest. Because some of these entities, what makes it really cool is you could have an intelligent entity that is imprinted on a place so much that they will respond and be active, and then you will see the echo of them moving.
That's fucking cool.
So you can actually have all of the above in a single spot. So it's really neat. It's really neat. And somebody like Jesse James that has a huge following and has his own history, it's possible that you could find all three in some of these locations. The echo of him maintains whether he's there or not. So it could be. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, even if he takes and goes to other places, his echo is still there regardless. So
Mhm.
even if his spirit moves around to other places he's been and was fond of or had connection to, the echo would still remain regardless if he was actually there or not.
Yep. 100%. I mean, it's that way with especially a lot of famous ghosts like what we're currently talking about. It's literally the Tulpa effect or creating an egregore. So with something, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but not really, because it's part of what we're going to be going into in a second anyway. But you can actually, through a thought form, well, I see Jesse James. Well, I feel Jesse James, and I see him, and I feel him, and I see him, and I feel him. You tell yourself that enough in a high energy space, or while you're really anxious, or while you're really amped up, and eventually your mind is going to go, well, they keep saying it, so I'm going to give it to them. And it creates a thought form. So something only you witness and only you see. Then, if that continues, it becomes a tulpa. Basically, what happens is that emotion, that thought, that drive is imprinted into the flow and creates a separate entity. It's a thought form that actually gains sentience. From that, then you get other people that see or feel it, even though it may not be 100% the real deal. It could be an echo, it could be a tulpa, but you get other people that experience it enough and tell their friends, who tell their friends, who tell their friends, and all of a sudden it's Jesse James ghost haunts this place. So you have multiple spaces that all say that at the same time, with their own clientele, with their own people that come in to try and figure out if he's actually there, and it creates an egregore, which is an entity, quote unquote. I'm putting it in air quotes because it's not an actual entity, but it is a feeling or disturbance in the flow that mass populace actually feels and creates because of a type of hysteria. So there's a possibility that this is literally just an egregore, that it's not an actual, it's not him at all. He could be dead, buried, and off somewhere else in wherever version of heaven or hell that he was going to. We don't know. So I think it'd be kind of fun.
It would be.
We'll have to see what we can get accomplished with that.
Next, what you got, Ethan?
Well, it's less of a singular famous ghost and more of the phenomenon, a like global phenomenon of the phantom hitchhiker, or the spectral hitchhiker, ghostly hitchhiker, whatever. Basically, the same all over the world. People are saying, "Well, we're driving down the road and we see somebody on the side road asking for a hitchhike." And they let them in, and they go for like 10 minutes, and then they lean over to ask a question, or they look over to ask a question, and whoever it was that they picked up, they're gone. Normally from a moving vehicle going down a dark road. And this has been cited all over the United States, all over Europe, Canada, Mexico. Almost every country in the world has some version of it.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Especially since when you think about it, cars and the act of hitchhiking has only been around for like 80 years. Like actual like letting like
At this
mass
yeah.
points of the public, cars were not really they were considered a luxury item for the first like 20, 30 years that they were around.
Until about the 40s or 50s.
Mm-hmm. So this phenomenon, which has populated the world over, is really actually quite recent. Only in the last like 70, 80 years.
Is it supposed to make sure that somebody doesn't fall asleep on the road while they're driving, or?
Some people believe that it's a, hey, I'll keep you awake.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, that would scare the shit out of me. I would probably be pretty awake after they dipped.
Exactly. It's an I'll keep you awake. There's that theory. There's one that has actually been proven in some cases, at least locally.
That they warn you of hazards ahead.
Because usually, at least around here, the ones that we know of wind up dying in accidents. So run off the road, into trees.
You'll pick up a hitchhiker a couple of miles
Around bridges.
turn if it's raining.
Oh.
And that way you're paying more attention to the road. You're not zoning out on the road. So when you look over to see the hitchhiker after you've gotten around that curve, they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to keep you
kind of like a protective omen,
Yeah.
rather than something kind of like the Headless Horseman, where oh no, you're gonna die. This is an attempt to make sure you don't.
You see that a lot, and there's, especially like I said, especially here in Kentucky. I'm sure it is. It's the same way other places as well.
And actually, this one is a lot more fleshed out, because here in the last like 20 or 30 years, a lot of truckers have caught it on their dash cams that they use for insurance purposes.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah. Usually, a lot of times you'll find them around mile markers or trees or embankments, different places that actually have roadside memorials for people that have passed. And it's literally them, and it's their stretch of the road where they passed. This
Gotcha.
this is where it happened. I'm haunting this space so that you will not do the same thing I did or suffer the same fate.
That's both sweet and very sad at the same time.
I mean, there's a few of them that are just around our neck of the woods here around the Lexington area.
Mm-hmm.
There's
one out. It's Ironworks.
Yeah.
Old Ironworks.
Old Ironworks. There's a couple out 169.
There's the one that's out Harrodsburg.
Yeah, out 68.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
There's
I believe there's a couple on
at least
27
one or two up this way. So
going down.
Yeah. There are, Raymond. There's a bunch of them up your way too. Out in the hills close to where y'all are.
There's a couple on 504.
So I mean
Yeah.
it is. You know, it's kind of tragic, but it's kind of awesome of them to be like, hey, I'm gonna help y'all out.
Yeah.
Some of them can have negative shit about them, but it hasn't been proven that
The majority of the stories you hear are, I picked up a hitchhiker. They told me they were going someplace down the road, like the next town or something. Be like, hey, can you help me get over here? And you go, sure. And then 10, 15 minutes down the road, they look over to ask them. It's like, hey, is this turn coming up or something like that? And they're not there anymore.
yeah, that was the end of their stretch that they could leave. And that's the bad thing about having the roadside memorials. It's wonderful to want to preserve the memory. It's wonderful to never forget what happened in good ways, not trauma bonded ways, but in good ways. You know, this is a reminder to pay attention. This is a reminder to be safe, you know, those kinds of things. It's wonderful. The problem is that when you do that and you grieve at those spots, you bind that person to those areas so they can't leave. And that's why a lot of these spirits seem so downtrodden or so melancholy or even angry at times, is they're stuck.
They just want to go.
They just want to leave. They're stuck. There's been especially one of them out 169, which is a road leading to Lexington and from it.
Is this the one that screams at you?
This is the tragic one. This is the kid that wants to go home and will literally, you know, walk in front of cars. People have actually brake checked, stopped for this kid, or they'll wind up in their passenger seat or in their back seat. Can you take me home? They're not talking about going to your house. They're talking about being taken home. And right about the time the person looks over or looks in the rear view and goes, okay, kid, where do you live? They're gone.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, I mean, it's a thing, you know, it's a tragic thing.
Yeah.
Steve, you got one?
So some of the more folklorish, but not, because she's been seen, is you know, the La Llorona, which is a lot of people's go-to for a woman in white, because that's what she is. So I didn't know this part, because I thought she was Central American in origin, but she's actually Venezuelan in origin. Right? Right? But yeah, same. But there's multiple different stories as to how she got there, and no one knows the true story of how she actually got there. But she is usually around places of excessive grief, usually from loss of child. And the reason why is she was a mother, and this is the stories all the way across the board. She was a mother that lost her children Now, what varies at that particular point is whether or not she was the one who wound up having postpartum or having a severe manic moment or depressive moment and made a very awful choice. We're going to do that, just in case, don't want to trigger anybody. And then as a result of the loss of her children, whether by her hand or nature's, she unalives herself. So it's a very awful, tragic story. And she is said to be around places of where children have died of disease or accident, or are around households that have abuse. She's also said to draw children to water for obvious reasons. And then as an offshoot, because there's got to be a balance to everything. So there's her story, which goes all the way from Venezuela, literally to the South United States, and almost similar to the Headless Horseman and the Phantom Hitchhiker. Literally every country has their own understanding of how it is she came about and why it is she does the way she does. Yeah.
Right around the state police barracks.
I believe. There's also, not to be technically, the movie was based off of this particular urban legend, folklorish thing, but the woman in black. We have the woman in white. Now we have the woman in black. This one's a little bit different because this one was tragic in a different way. So there is one that actually happened in Virginia. There's one that happened in Arkansas. There's one that actually happened well over into like Wales. I think there's a couple of other versions of her, but she is actually one of the stories based off of both Banshee and basically the Jilted Lover. What? What?
What?
What?
I'm just.
Why'd your voice go all high pitched there?
Oh. So she's also based off of more tragedy, but the ones here in the United States, and actually, I think the one from Wales was similar, but in Arkansas, it was a woman named Jane who had been jilted by a man named Joshua.
Fucking dudes with the name Josh. Jesus.
Drink
God,
your
fucking
potato
Dave.
juice and
It's water?
Sure. So
Potato juice.
she was jilted at essentially at a homecoming dance there in Henderson.
Oh.
And what had happened was she went home and put on a funeral dress and dropped herself down the elevator of the school. That was one of them. In Virginia, it was her. It was a similar situation. It was her. I'm trying to remember if it was off of a church roof or basically it was a high building.
Damn.
And then in Wales and over in those countries, she went over a cliff. But it's all the same. And she's said to be around places of infidelity, in places of jilted love, in places of adulterous behavior, or seen stalking men who are being unfaithful. So I thought that one was kind of interesting because you have the La Llorona, who is more about trying to reunite herself with her children that she lost, and by proxy causing very awful things to happen. And then you have this person that made a ultimate decision based off of heartbreak, that doesn't want other women to suffer through that, and will actually literally haunt motherfuckers who were being motherfuckerly. She literally became a
Yes.
an avenging spirit, not a vengeful one. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was really neat. And there's reports of her literally everywhere, like I said. So you usually see La Llorona, that particular version of the woman in white, because literally every fucking haunted location has a woman in white. Sorry, I literally can't take it seriously when people are like, "I saw a woman in white." I bet you fucking did. But La Llorona is her own entity. She has particular features that are different than just some chick standing there glowing white. She's actually in a wedding gown, usually seen in a wedding gown, not a nightgown, not a white dress, not, she's usually seen in a wedding gown, veil and all. And similar to her, the woman in black, quote unquote Jane here in America, she's seen in a funeral dress with the death veil over her face. So I thought that was really interesting, having the two flip sides.
That is really cool. So for the class, what is the difference between an avenging spirit and a vengeful spirit?
So a vengeful spirit has no direction. They are typically
Taste of the world.
they're typically seen as entities that suffer similar symptoms to dementia or Alzheimer's. So they sundown. They'll be okay at one particular point, and then the next they flip the switch. They don't know you. They don't know where they're at, and they become highly combative and volatile. And after a while, they don't switch back. They lose who they were. And because of that, they thrash, and they literally become angry,
They
and
become the ultimate raging drunk that never sobers.
actually, that's a very good fucking analogy. As an avenging spirit is one that has purpose.
Okay.
This one is not angry in the way that the vengeful is. It's not reaching out towards anything that moves or anything that's living. It only goes after the particular thing that harmed it.
So
Okay.
You will not do this to other people.
So the vengeful is, the perpetually angry drunk, and the avenging is one going after revenge of a certain kind.
Yeah. I wasn't able to be saved from this, but you can be. I've got you.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is,
Yeah, a little
actually,
bit.
because you cannot change their minds, period. And what their view of what the sin is, quote unquote, or action was, quote unquote, is all they follow. So they could get a situation completely skewed and still go after that person
Damn.
because that's what they view as incorrect and dangerous. Yeah.
It's kind of sad. Although all of these are kind of sad.
I mean, they're fucking ghosts.
They're gonna be sad. Someone died to make them.
My ghosts are sad.
Yours was kind of pimping. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no.
I mean, at least he didn't end up nearly headless.
That
Getting your head destroyed by a fucking cannon,
Cannonball.
and then having to come back to look for your head, and then
Having to make do with a
Pumpkin.
pumpkin.
Hey,
And
look at
then-
this jack-o'-lantern. This will work.
and then murdering motherfuckers just to be able to stay here on Earth, and because you got fucking picked up by a demon horse. That's metal
Pretty
as,
fucking heinous.
I mean, it's metal as fuck, but that's pretty rough ass story there, Tyree.
Oh.
Do we have any others that we want to cover, or do we want to just kind of round it out nicely with the double-sided coin that is the lady in white and the lady in black?
I think we can. What time we got?
10 o'clock. 10:05.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 5.
Well, let's see. Tracy says the Ross has a woman in white,
It does.
She does.
and she's
Yep.
pretty.
Oh, she is. That would be Loretto.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So hello, Jacob. Sorry for the delayed.
Hellos.
Yeah. Hello, Space Dragon
Space Dragons.
And
Space
Renee
Dragon. And Renee.
and Pam.
And Pam. Yep.
Yep.
Pam's pretty awesome.
And then Renee says Bridezilla times 100.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the big thing with La Llorona is this was supposed to have happened literally on the wedding night.
That's awful.
So that was
more than
part
like,
of it.
more than likely it'd be like
She basically
Yeah,
self-deleted
probably.
on her wedding night. That was kind of the thing. So
Yeah. That's fun. Not really.
so moving on. Let's try,
Anywho,
let's try to make this a little bit more upbeat. Talk about some, instead of just haunted people, haunted things from history, ghosts. Let's talk about some actual haunted shit. So, one of the big deals here, Mr. Jerry was kind enough to give us some of the information on it. But the Flying Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman is actually wherever
Where is it?
it might be.
So the Flying Dutchman is an interesting ship because, I mean, it's supposed to be a cursed ship that was trying to look for a safe port that wasn't able to find one in this nasty ass storm. There's a couple of depictions of it, obviously. I mean, pirates did their own rendition. But as far as the Flying Dutchman goes, it is actually based on a novel as well. It's all feelings and stuff.
Yeah. But it is 100% a visible. Now it's up to debate whether or not the Flying Dutchman is actually an egregore or not. How many sailors have heard the story of the legend of Davy Jones and the sinking of, the
His ship.
Flying Dutchman? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, especially considering it's a ship that's doomed to, quote, never make port. That's what's in the original novel itself, which is super interesting because, there have been several spinoffs of that. But as far as the ship itself, it's not really clear if it was ever actually a ship. So I think that's kind of interesting. I think it probably would be at this point an egregore, especially after the popularization of the Flying Dutchman through Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, 100%. Because, I mean, there have been stories for, countless decades, even centuries at this point, of sailors essentially seeing mirages on the horizon or, getting scurvy, which is a real thing, by the way, You can still get scurvy to this day.
Get you some citrus.
Yep. But they're suffering from scurvy, or they're suffering from ship lag, or
Even just a high enough fever.
starvation. I mean, there were a lot of awful things that would happen to you out at sea, especially years ago, centuries ago, because we didn't have the amenities that we do now. And because of that, hallucinations were a thing. There's a ghost ship on the horizon when all it was weird shaped clouds. But the other thing is that there have been actual accounts to the point to where people have been able to actually in detail describe the same ship without knowing the other person or the other stories. They could describe the same exact ship with the same exact captain with the same exact crew. And that's what started the whole thing with the Flying Dutchman being more popularized, is the fact that it went from being just a folklore story that sailors just talked about and whisper to being a huge fucking thing because people were actually starting to see a ghost ship. So I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny because you have different versions of it as well, because every time you've got something from folklore, a new space opens up to discuss it. But between, funnily enough, SpongeBob and Pirates of the Caribbean, there's like a whole possibility. But there's a couple of other really cool ones that we could bring up too, as far as a more sort of upbeat, interesting side of things.
I mean, one of the biggest things, at least one of my favorites, was it was said to have been cursed. Some people say it was a jilted lover. Some people say it was people who were jealous of his career. But James Dean's car, the little bastard, was actually rumored to be haunted as fuck with his actual spirit, and because it was found there by a curse. To this day, there are parts of it that are here, there, and yon, but he is said to be linked to all of them. Could you imagine being linked to a car that was pieced and parted to multiple museums across America?
God, that was so cool.
So does that mean one museum just has like an apparitional hand floating around somewhere, and the other one has like his head or like his left ear?
I mean, I don't know.
Who gets the money shot?
So who gets the ghost bean? Who gets the ghost bean?
What is that running down the hallway?
Head, but
tips up, falls out, But yeah, one of the larger pieces. One of the larger pieces.
Never running. All you do is sit squirming across the floor like a worm.
An inchworm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
One of the larger pieces of the car that actually still exists as a whole is the rear axle. And the big thing. Let me see.
Tracy just said y'all. LOL.
Hey, it's an 18+ show.
It is an 18+ show. We're fine.
And we're swinging wild. But yeah, it is the rear axle, and it is actually it's been seen as cursed as fuck, and I can actually attest to that. I've actually been in the same room with it, with multiple other people, multiple other paranormal investigators, demonologists, different, and every one of us, yeah, it's pretty fucked, and it is. And because you can walk into the room with that and literally hear the low-pitched hum Like it sounds like a subwoofer.
Has anyone seen my left nut, James Dean?
Tracy. I'm so sorry for cracking in the middle of your super serious. You're fine.
I found the right nut. I can't find the left. Has anybody seen that?
Oh my goodness.
Totally, it's on
It
fire.
rolled off like a grape and it fell under something.
But yeah. So anyway, yeah, it is actually haunted. It is actually whether or not it's cursed is yet to be figured out, but it is definitely actually vibing as a haunted object. So I thought that was interesting.
You got all of the various multiple different hauntings that go on at Disney World. Apparently.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the only.
Tell me
thing.
more. Tell me more. Did they have a car?
No, but there's a lot of people that say like on the tower. Is it the Tower of Fear?
It's a Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
That when they're going down, like when they're dropping or when they're being cranked up to actually fall, one of the like built that way broken floors will have someone just kind of chilling on the edge of it, and it's not one of the floors that has the projectors to actually show the like projection ghost people that they have to actually scare people. It's on one of the filler floors.
That's fucking cool.
It's
Why the
just
fuck not, right?
it's a guy in like overalls, button-down shirt, and a little caddy hat, and he's just kind of chilling with his feet dangling off the edge, looking out.
Steamboat Willie.
I guess.
Hard pass on that one.
And then I'm pretty sure the pirate exhibit at Disney World is rumored to be haunted too. They're supposed to
Well,
be.
Johnny Depp definitely doesn't help that one because he will randomly pop in and actually in character.
He will actually.
He
Jack
will,
Sparrow.
but I don't think he's like swimming in the like the boat ride that goes through the pirate section.
Oh.
And there's like multiple people have rumored like seeing a body floating in the water. And when park officials go and like dredge the water, there's nothing there.
That's fucking fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in Disney World.
Yeah, it's actually one of the more haunted places in America.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, not really.
No,
I
not
mean-
really.
Not really.
Just
The
like
ghost
the White House.
is probably buried underneath it and haunts everybody that comes in or out. But whatever. He's frozen. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's-
Dude, fuck the ghost. I'll take my chances if it drops around. I'm scared.
Oh, it flips around.
Okay.
It drops around.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I'm scared.
skirts.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anything else? Anything else y'all can think of?
I
Anybody?
mean, all the ghosts that you see in the White House itself.
True.
Multiple people have seen Abraham Lincoln. You know,
Abraham Lincoln, Ben Franklin.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt's another big one.
Mhm.
FDR,
There's a couple of
Eleanor Roosevelt.
true.
Yeah.
True. Trying to think. There's a couple of comic book ones too. A couple of comic ghosts. Ghost Rider.
Stanley.
I hope Stanley haunts every single fucking Marvel movie. I really do.
It probably does.
Mhm.
As long as there's cameos for him.
Pointing out. in the
They did
background.
put one in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Fair.
His picture is actually on the side of the bus.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
and they called it Stanley Cleaners instead of Stanley Cleaners.
Oh, that actually warms my heart.
Deep in the cockles.
Yeah.
All right.
Somewhere wherever it rolled off with James Dean's left nut.
I guess. You know, you do have. God, I can't believe this. So
Steve, you want to talk about Ghost Rider?
no, I don't.
You
But-
ruined Harry Potter for me.
So. So I mean there are spirits in comic books, of course. Of course there would be in fucking comic books. You know, why not? Casper is actually in a comic, but
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
he
Started
is.
out in a comic.
He's
Comic strip.
he's a comic strip and then went to Archie. But oh my god. So you do have, which technically Ghost Rider is not a ghost.
It's not.
He is a revenant. Fuck yourself. But anyway, but there are actual superheroes that are ghosts. You do have literal Dead Man. Yes, that is the name.
That's amazing.
You do have Dead Man. Dead Man is, of course,
Dead?
dead.
Is he dead?
Yes. One of his key powers is literally to possess people.
That's fucking awful.
It's like
That's awful.
not even joking. Y'all can look this up. It's legit.
Dead?
He was
Dead-
in Justice League
He
Dark,
possessed-
the movie too. Dark Justice League.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. There's also the Spectre. Spectre is a actual spirit of justice. And his darkest plot, but is someone who is half in and half out of being alive. And while they are the Spectre, they are an actual ghost. You know, ugh, damn it. Danny Fan.
You're welcome.
He is not a ghost either. He has to use a special fucking suit in order to, or a belt or whatever it is, in order to actually become like a spirit. But he is actually not dead. God damn it.
I didn't know he had.
I did that on purpose, by the way.
Like that. I can't remember what it was.
No, I'm pretty sure he's just like half dead.
No, well, then he's like Ghost Rider and is more of a revenant than than an actual ghost. I mean, technically, you could claim it if you wanted to, but Etrigan is another one. Jason Blood, the original Black Knight, actually being possessed by Etrigan the demon. So Etrigan himself actually winds up becoming a separate entity. Therefore, he's technically a spirit, ghost, whatever. I mean, it's literally all over comic books. You can throw a fucking dart at a comic book and probably find a
Space
ghost in it. Space ghost.
That's what I just looked up.
Space ghost. Fucking space ghost.
Space Ghost.
We broke him. Good job, Renee. You broke him.
Fucking space ghost.
That's what I was just looking at.
Oh, God bless. But yeah, you know, fuck me. But yeah, there's
You missed him breaking.
so there's legitimately
Space Ghost.
Space Ghost actually got me. That one actually fucked me up.
Renee popped across the comments with it as I was looking him up.
My favorite is Space Ghost.
Space Ghost.
Fucking Space Ghost. So
Harvey Birdman. Attorney at law.
he's not a ghost. He's just jackass.
I know, but he works for Space Ghost.
God, kill me.
I need to go watch that too. that cartoon.
Wild Hunt's always fun too, depending on which version you're going with.
Are you gonna talk about that?
I mean, I can just for
Yeah,
a minute.
Yeah,
for
do
it.
it.
So,
Fuck, get me out of this.
Space Ghost.
We'll ruin more parts of Harry Potter for you.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, this will probably be the last one we talk about. And then
Yeah, we're gonna dip by what time is it?
it's 10:24.
So we're gonna dip at 10:30.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the Wild Hunt is something that actually started out in folklore as well. Depending on where you look it up and where the origin is.
Origin.
Origin.
Sounds like vodka taste.
Like potato. But one of my favorite depictions of it is both the fact that Odin leads the ghost hunt, like the wild hunt, and it's supposed to be kind of like what Tyree was saying in Omen, as far as the Headless Horseman. So I think it's pretty interesting that he leads this massive hunt full of deities and all of these different entities, and it's just riding through the fucking countryside, fucking shit up. Just like, oh, hey, a bunch of shit's about to die. There's going to be a mass fucking plague or, a mass fucking set of deaths, something, etc. And then you've got the version on The Witcher, which is also fucking dope.
Actually, kind of.
It's pretty fucking dope because it's just these, a whole bunch of different ghosts that are essentially this massive omen that kill fucking anything that they come near.
Mhm.
And not to spoil a whole bunch of other shit because getting too much further into the lore will spoil shit. It's just really fucking cool because there's this mass like, oh my god, the wild hunt's back. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then you get to the part where it's the wild hunt and it's kind of not as intense as you would think it would be. But there's reasons for that.
True.
And
Actually,
I'm not going to spoil that because that is a damn good game series and a damn good book series.
I would recommend it. 10
Yeah.
out of 10 from me.
Yeah. So, but another small shout out is the ghosts in the Lord of the Rings of all the people that defected and Isildur fucking cursed.
The ring wraiths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the City of the Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the, Tolkien Dementors.
No, the City of the Dead, where they're like, where we only listen to the King of Gondor.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no king. And
Yeah.
then there is a king.
And then all of a sudden, poof. fuck
I'm sorry.
yourself.
I'm sorry if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings yet.
I'm not even spoiling.
No.
No.
Fuck
yourself.
yourselves. You deserve
Go
it
watch
to be
it.
ruined.
Specifically the extended edition, because if you're gonna fucking watch it, you may as well watch it. That is a hill I will fucking die on.
Mm.
I don't care if it's 16
That's the
hours.
one that forgot the two towers.
I fucking didn't. We were preoccupied doing other things with alcohol. Anyway,
She forgot.
I
So-
did.
And we were building the two towers. So who forgot?
It was a beer pyramid, y'all. Fuck you both. And then it evolved.
She forgot. So now that we are just like the Alamo and Gray and physics,
You're killing me, Smalls.
so
That was busy last night.
it's,
Fuck Tracy.
Yes.
Tracy said she was busy looking for that left nut.
we did, Jacob. We did talk about the Yorona and also the flip side of it, the Woman in Black.
yep.
Yep. And yeah.
Y'all just have to, for those of you that are just popping on, you'll have to rewatch. We are going to dip for this Thursday Night Live. Thank you for putting up with the shenanigans. And hopefully you guys got a little bit of fun out of tonight.
Yep. Next week we're talking our favorite ghost stories.
Yep.
Yay, ghost stories.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then it's
Don't look at me, I don't have one.
You're gonna have to do it.
all right,
Of course
guys.
Do it. But
Dive.
oh my god.
Fuck
So-
in hell.
So thank you guys for showing up and hope to see you next week. And as always, Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And remember that those that have the power to change themselves have the power to change the world around themselves. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love ya.
Bye.